Hi everybody, it's Colin here from Woodthorp International. I hope you're all well and enjoying the weather. I'm just going to show you what I've been up to. Quite excited about it. It's working how I thought it would work. You see that there's some trees up in the distance. There's 17 trees in that area, so I'm going to need quite a lot to do the whole mountain eventually. And you may be able to see a little bit of a wagon. Might be too far away, but I've made myself a wagon. I've got to weather it. I've got to make it look old, but at the moment I've just done a bit of grasses, and the ballast on the track is sand, because when they originally cut it out, it was so dry was the land up that stretch. It was very light, so I've tried to show that, and I've put some watermarks in where water's run down the hill, which I'll show you. But I hope you're all okay, and I'll show you what I've done and how. So at the bottom of the hill, they had these type of mechanism. Now, this is my own design. What they had on theirs was across here at a certain height be a roller, and then a roller on the side leaning like that. Now what I've done is I've just bent some copper tube and stuck it on, so as the wagon comes down and underneath, the winch wire would end up going quite high, and if I just zoom out, it would end up 50-60 foot up in the air because of the curve of the track as it came down to a level. So they had these. Now with mine just being a straight run, that is sufficient to keep the wire quite low to the ground. When they had it going round corners on a slope, they had a vertical roller and a horizontal roller to keep it in, so it didn't want to cut the corner, so it followed the track round as such. But this is just my own design, just to show that how it works, and I'll show you it again with the wagon going underneath it. So let's go to the top. There's the wagon, and they had an end plate on. Now their wagons were longer, and they had a bogie at each end. Now I haven't got the space to have the curve as little as possible for a bogie system to flex. If I put one on this, when it comes up, the bogie ends up higher on one set of wheels and it doesn't work. So I'm just showing it with a single 2-axle wagon, and what they used to do with these wagons, quite interesting. They found out when they first started taking them down the mountain, and then they took them to the sawmills, they decided to chain the whole lot on. And as it was going down the railway track to the timber yard, the trees were moving with vibration and rocking and stuff, and then the chains were coming loose, and the loads would then shift and pull the wagons off the track. So what they eventually came up with was chains just going over the bottom 5 logs, because there's 3 on the bottom and then 2, and now in this case there's 1 at the top. they'd chain that on, and then they'd actually just sit the top one onto the chain, which pushed it in between the logs. And that would then tighten the chain up. And as it wobbled and bounced, all it did was keep getting tighter. But because this is a heritage area, I'm not doing it how they would in them days, because health and safety wasn't really on the cards in the 1900s, but now we have to think about things. So all this is fixed, and they have an end plate on, but what they also used to do, because the wagon was longer, they found that they had to have a reinforcing on to stop it from getting pushed by the logs if they weren't loaded right. So if they slid into that on the way down the hill, it was knocking it off. But again, this is all fixed and it's safe. I will put a chain on, but I've just got to find it. And as I said, I need to weather the wagon because I've just used an EWS one. It's what I had. The longest an axle at each end. But how I've got it to work is I've got this little motor, and I made something to go on the end of it there to take the winch wire. And then it's just battery operated, and I've got a controller here what makes it go either forward or reverse and controls the speed of it. Now at the moment it's up here. I will extend the wires down and put it into that area where that junk is. And I'll be making a winch house to go over the top of this. And not forgetting, in them days it was a steam winch. Now I can put a chimney on, but I'm afraid I haven't got any steam coming out of it. And then I'll put a building over there where they used to go and have the teas and coffees and sandwiches and stuff. So they weren't going up and down the mountain, you know, they worked up here and then they'd only go down at the end of the day. I may put a piece of track in with another wagon and a wagon, what was like a coach, but it was just open with seats in for the men to go up and down, and they'd get winched on. Now, again, I'm not going to do anything like that because I just haven't got the space up here to have all the track and changing points. And they also had engines up here to move these about, because there was quite, you know, they'd dig a big area out at mountain to put a base on, and then the mountain would even go up higher than what this first area would be going up again. But, you know, it's just to demonstrate it, and because I was just fascinated by that, and I thought, right, I'm doing an American layout, let's have it in. What I've done is I've just put some bits of bushes in, which the flowers are dying off because we're going into autumn. And the idea of it being a brighter green at the edge here is because the sun can get in, it's given a bit more life to the grass instead of it being all, you know, dying and twigs and stuff on. So that's why I've done that green near the track. And as you can see, you can't see the trees with only lots of stems on. You know, if I go around there you'll see where they're naked all at the bottom. But when you look at it like this and from the bottom, it won't be seen. And then a lot of the time, well, sorry about the nearly falling down, I'll be only able to film this wagon from this angle because there's going to be trees all the way down here, right to the edge and over the top. So I'm not going to be able to film it from this angle because you ain't going to see it, which is fine. Like I say, it's only just to demonstrate, and I know that it's there and working. And, you know, as new people join, subscribe and start to watch, I'll be able to show them there's updates and stuff like that. These are the watermarks I've put in where water's run down and, say, carved some of the soil and land away. There's one there as well. I've just done different marks on it. I can see it better with my naked eye than it's showing on the camera. There's one there, just to try and give it a bit of character. But I just had to get that going just to see if it would work. So what I did, on the end of the motor, there's a bit, if this was the motor, there's a bit what sticks out with like a cross on, and it's for the guy who makes windmills and water mills and stuff, and if you want the actual wheels to turn and fairground rides. So this cross attaches to the main mechanism, and when it turns, it locks onto it. So that stuck out. Now I could have cut it off, but I wanted to leave it just in case my plan didn't work. So what I actually did was I got a small washer like that to go over that end, and the bit what stuck out, yeah, the bit what stuck out on that went into that hole of the washer. And then I needed to have smaller washers what sat on top of that and gave it an edge at the side here, if I can point it out to you, from the edge of that to the outside of that for the winch wire to go around. And I put 3 of those on, and then what I did then was put another one of these washers on the outside. So then I put another one of these bigger washers over the top of those. Now I wanted to use them because they're thicker than a washer, but they have a splitting, the split washer, and all I had to do was just twist it so it was flat. And like I say, I put 3 of them on, put that on, then I stuck the whole lot to that little motor, and then I fixed it down to this plastic what I've just stuck down, and as you can see, but in there, those little 3 washers and the winch wire stays within the 2 bigger washers. So to get it to move, all I do is put it onto 2. Interesting that it's not an F and an R, but you know, it's not. And click it on, and I can control the speed of what that travels at. So if I leave that now, that will keep going until it gets to the bottom. Now it's not the smoothest of movements because things are stretching and unstretching as it unwinds, and it's, you know, catching bits of grass and stuff as it goes down. Now the real thing is so heavy, bits of grass doesn't matter, but it does with little engage, you know, there's not much weight. But that will keep going, and if I want, I can speed it up as fast as I want it to go. But I'll just slow it down a bit. Sorry for the jerking as I'm moving, climbing down the steps. And it's quite tight when it comes under here. But it comes under. You watch, the wood will swollen up and it won't now. And that goes under there. And then the winch wire, as that goes back, gets higher, and you can imagine how much it would go. I'll show you what it'll do, and eventually it gets to a point and then I just stop it. But if I just pull this up and put it back on the track over the top, and you can see as that goes further down the track, even though I'm stopping it there, this gets even higher. Does the winch wire. So it was no good to have that in those days. So that's why they had these, to keep this winch wire lower. So if I just put that back on. So I just don't want to let go of the wire and break my winch wire. So that was the point of them, to keep that winch wire down to a respectable height. And then to go back up, you just go back to that. It's got an off position. Just put it onto there. Turn the knob. And you'll see in a second, it'll start to climb. Oh, sorry, finger. And that is the steepest incline a wagon goes up. I don't know if there's any steeper. In the video I watched was 1 in 67. Exactly what this is, I don't know, but I know a train can't go up it. So you can imagine the trees on this side as well. And like I say, it's only a demo. If I ever make a wagon with seats in to be pulled up, I will show you. And then just slow it down. And what I want to do is just always stop it about there. So when I start to unwind the winch, there's enough weight to get it to pull down. If I stop it on the flat, I'm going to have to put my hand of God on it. So I will always stop it there, just for, you know, ease, because when all the trees are on and stuff and the controls are down there, I'm not going to be able to just get to it as easy, even though I will be able to get my hand in here to this space. Tricky, but I can. So that is how I'm demonstrating what those men did in the 1900s, as in the 1900 itself was the video made, and just showing how it worked. At one point I wondered if I should do the track like that, take every other sleeper out, because I thought they might not have bothered building the track like a railway track, because this here joins on to the network, say, and they used to, you know, send them down, unhook them and use the wagon. They didn't unload it until it got to the timber yard, so they'd have, you know, dozens of these wagons. And I'm not going to unhook it again, you know, it's just for demonstration purposes. I will have wagons here because it's a heritage site. They're going to just show wagons in storage ready for going off, and this is going to be like a storage area, and they raise money for storing trees here because they're not cutting them down from up here. These trees have taken 125 years to grow, and this site is preserved now, but they bring the trees in and then they ship them round to the nearby timber yard to be cut up. But this is, you know, an area where they raise money just to keep this funicular system going for visitors to see what maybe no doubt their families worked on here. But I've run out of this static grass. I'll be getting some of that at this show, hopefully. And still got hundreds of trees. And this is what one of the 3-stem trees looks like, instead of all the bottom bit on. But it works. There's you know, no point having all this bottom stuff on everywhere when you can't see it. That I got it to work. I knew in a way how I was going to do it, but knowing and it actually working is something else. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I've right enjoyed doing it. It was quite funny when Gemma said, "Where are you going to stick the wagon?" And I says, "I ain't going to stick it, I'm going to make it move." And she says, "Yep, I can see you wanting to do that." So as you've seen, I have. So thanks very much for watching. I am going to Ali Pali a week on Saturday, and I'll be there Sunday as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting people and saying hello and having a cup of tea with them, or coffee, depending who wants what. So look forward to seeing you there, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye for now. Bye.